Love That Podcast with your hosts, Pamela and Larry.
Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Monday, and we're so happy you're here with us today.
It's the Monday after Labor Day. We hope everyone had a fantastic week.
Yes.
Partied it up.
Partying it. What'd you do for Labor Day last week?
I was supposed to go to a really good friend's house, but whatever the universe had out, they had different plans for me. The day before Labor Day, a storm blew through, and a tree decided to take up the entire swimming pool. So there was no pool day. But it's good. You know, I had worked 12 days straight. I literally didn't get out of bed except for to walk the dogs and pick up my DoorDash from the front doorstep. Otherwise, I stayed in bed. So that was my Memorial Day.
Not Memorial, Labor.
Labor. I always get the two confused and have my entire life. I don't know if I'll ever get it correct. And then in May, I call it Labor Day. Every time. Every time.
It just means you can wear white whenever you want. There's no rules for you.
You know, I don't wear white though, because I'd be looking like the Marshmallow Man. So, you know, I can't be doing that.
Did you know, I just realized that today, Monday, is when Hurricane Ike happened.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's the anniversary, and that was quite a dramatic experience. We stayed in Houston for Hurricane Ike until we couldn't anymore because we had no running water or power. That was my first hurricane, so that was really a dramatic one to be my first one. Traumatic experience that happened.
Ike didn't play with Tina, and he did not play with Houston.
Did not. Not as bad as Harvey. Of course, Harvey was devastating for us down here. Ike was dramatic. The no water was the worst part of it because we lived in Houston at that point, and it was rough. But we also had a bachelorette party 13 years ago.
13 years ago today. Speaking of showers, there was a meteor shower.
Oh, it's not open anymore, which makes me
That's
so sad. It was a fun spot.
Montrose used to be so much more fun with meteor there in Houston.
If you don't know, Montrose.
I was literally saying those.
Are you going to?
No, you go ahead. God. But it's funny because we both said at the same time, if you don't know.
It was down in the neighborhood of Houston. It was
Montrose.
A little club in Montrose called Meteor. They had dancers, just very much Oaklawn-ish of them. But the thing was, they had showers. Like there was water showers that came down on it was just unlike anything I had truly seen before when we went there, but it was
and I think at midnight, like the lights flickered, like kind of lightning, almost like you're at the Rainforest Cafe, and then all the dancers would go up to the shower and the water would start flowing, and it's kind of like a wet t-shirt contest, but for the downstairs.
It was a good time. That's all. It was super. I remember just having a blast anytime I went there.
We were young and wild and free.
Yes, it was so fun.
And you weren't married yet because it was your bachelorette party. What? I love that your bachelorette party had two parts. We had the Houston party, and then the following weekend we had a Dallas party.
Both were dramatic, though. They were super dramatic. One day we'll talk about that. We'll put this on the list to come back around to because both of them had drama. Everything was crazy. We'll talk about it another day, but it was good times. Good times.
Really quickly, I want to shamelessly plug the Dallas Voice is now doing a Dallas Voice TV live every week from 2 to 3 on the Dallas Voice Facebook page, and maybe we'll start posting it other places as we grow. This past Friday was my first time co-hosting, and I just brought a little clip with us. They wanted us to share our pronouns, and you know I'm always a jokester when it comes to things like that. My Instagram says he, him, she, her, and I do it because I literally can be referred to as all those things. I don't do it to mock people who actually, you know, discuss their pronouns, and so I just don't want it to come off that way. But here's a clip of me introducing myself. Fairy, my pronouns are he, him, they, and bitch. Yes. Yeah. So
and if you tune in, you say hello to me in the chat because I'm there watching. They can't really watch the chat, but you can say hey to me while I'm there.
I'm the only one who watches the chat.
You can? Did you see me typing?
I did. I did. Hey. We were on the commercial break and they're like, has anyone commented yet? And I said, my friend said we all made that same face. I'm guessing it was at the moment when we were talking about such and such or whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I figured I knew exactly what you were talking about.
It was great.
So I got that shameless plug out of the way.
We love it. Tune in.
Mhm.
It's a good time. It's fun.
We
It's very
talk-
much like The View or
It
something.
is, except for they let us be uncensored on there. Like, here we try to watch the F-bombs and things like that because we don't want Apple to flag us as an explicit podcast. And then our audience goes from being open to 100% of people to being open to 20% of people who have to log in first and verify their age and go through all these other steps. So we try to keep this one a little bit more PG-13 as opposed to rated R. But
Right.
on DVTV Live, there are no filters. They've given us free reign to say whatever we want.
Is it only on Facebook or can they watch somewhere else?
It's only on Facebook at the moment, but back in the day, it used to be on their Facebook and YouTube. So I'm hoping we can eventually get to at least one more platform. But I don't have, unlike this show and a lot of the other live shows I've done online, I don't have any control over any of the back of stuff. I'm literally just on camera for this.
You will.
So there's
you
an
always
engineer.
Get involved. You
I
always
know,
get
I know.
over involved. You are super involved in everything. Larry has
Yes.
had no days off in like 3 months now because he's
And
always doing something.
I know, and I keep picking up extra projects. Yes, I'll be here. Yes, I'll cover that. Yes, I'll do this. But
Yes, I'll
you
start
know,
a podcast.
it'll all pay off one day when all of these things are paying me way more than I ever make bartending. So
Yes, come on, podcast. Apple, notice us. Put us on the trending page, please.
yes.
We think we're funny. So that's all that matters.
hmm
So this week, we're going to chat about some stories of our past airport experiences. I got this idea because you travel a lot more than I do, but I have some crazy stories too. But
hmm
I always get a text from you with the craziest stories that are happening around you, near you, when you got back, something, and it's just nothing ever seems to go perfect. Some of them are minor, of course.
I think
like
I'm cursed. I think I'm cursed, honestly, from delays and et ceteras. What's the most you've ever flown in 1 year?
Oh, maybe like 3 times. I
In
think that's my max.
2019, I made it a personal goal of mine to go on at least one trip a month because at that time I had a job where I only worked 4 days a week. So I could take little 3-day trips. Like I would leave Saturday morning and come home Monday night and then get back to work on Tuesday and work Tuesday through Friday. And then I could leave Saturday morning and come back home Tuesday night. So it was like, go, go, go. Not a lot of rest, but there's no rest
Right.
for the wicked, baby. But in 2019, I flew 26 times the whole year.
Wow.
There was 1 month. I went on one trip every month, and then in the month of April, I actually went on 2 trips. I went to Arizona to go hiking with Amber,
Yes.
and then like 2 weeks. Like I think I came back. I moved in the middle of April, and then the last weekend of April, I went to New Orleans for Easter.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so literally 26
Wow.
flights in 1 year is my
a
record.
lot.
And then the next year, Southwest sent me like a book of drink coupons, and I was like, yes. And then COVID happened.
Oh, I miss
nobody
those drink
flew.
coupons.
I just got 6 in the mail 4 days ago.
No, you didn't. 'cause
I
know
did.
you
They're
signed
hanging
up
on my fridge.
We're giving another shameless plug to Southwest Airlines.
Mhm.
They have the best credit card system.
I just got
getting
their credit cards.
points.
This isn't related to their credit card though. They sent it to me and Ogden. We both got a letter in the mail a week ago saying thanks, for being Rapid Rewards members, and it was like 4 or 6. It was an even number of just the little drink coupons, and they're all hanging on my
haven't got
fridge
one
right
in
now.
years.
It's
Years I
been
haven't got
since
one.
2020 since I got mine. And I literally because I flew 26 times that year, they sent me like a book of drink coupons, and they've all expired. But you know what I will say about Southwest? They never take those drink coupons. I've tried to use them 100 times.
I was going to say that. I was like, they always give them back to me, and they're like, "Girl, take it on your next."
They
flight.
never
Have
even
another drink."
pull it out of my hand. The only time I know that they're gonna charge is if they have that little iPad in their hand and they've got a little sassy attitude. My flight to
yeah,
New York
yeah.
in 2019, she had that iPad in her hand, and I was like, I ordered my drink before I could even remotely pull my drink. She sniped it out of my hand and moved on to the next person. I was like, oh, okay.
So I'm going to give you a tip of the cheap people because that's my people. My people are the cheap people. So when you order your drink, be like, I'm a gin fan. I love some gin. They have Bombay in little nips on the flight. You just say, I would like a Sprite, the bottle, the little nip, and a cup of ice. I want to mix it myself. And then if you want to save it, you just put it in your bag and then you can take it for later. You don't have to drink it on the flight if it's like a short flight or...
Is that legal? And also, I guess I would get it if you're on a long flight, but the longest flight I think I've ever taken was to Mexico, and that was like 4 hours. and then like to New York, which is like 4.5 hours. And you get a drink, you have a drink, you get a second drink, you have a drink, you get a cute little buzz. And then they stop serving like the last hour because you're descending and they have to put everything back up and get ready to land. And so then like you're sobering up and then you land and then you have to wait for your Uber, wait to get, and then you're just like that, you know, when you stop drinking and your body's like, why aren't we napping? Ho, like why? What? So if drinking on a plane just really honestly isn't that fun for me.
No, I honestly hate flying. Like if
I enjoy it. I hate the people. I hate the people, especially when the plane lands and parks, or not even parks, it lands and everyone just jumps up out of their seat. Like, where are you going? Where are you going? I mean, I always pay to sit in the front row or the second row. Yeah. So I'm out of there real quick. But whenever I do get stuck in the back and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're going to be on here for like another at least 30 minutes, girl. Why you like, what you doing?
One time, it was on our way back. My husband and I had gone to Jamaica. Mm-hmm. The flight there, we were just kind of in a random aisle, and he's really tall, so he needs the extra legroom and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, oh, somebody told us the back row has more legroom. Y'all, never
lied to you.
Ever sit in the back row of an airplane. Don't do it. Number one, your seat can't recline even that little inch. It is stuck against the wall. Mm-hmm. It is very hot back there. I was sitting next to somebody that wasn't wearing deodorant that day.
Yeah.
So that was really rough. It was not a good time. And I was smushed in the middle. I was leaned forward with my head on the table, just miserable. My back hurt, my body hurt. It was terrible. Do not do it. Also, you're next to the bathrooms, which are not a good time. Do not sit next to the bathroom.
I've had to sit all the way in the back twice. The first time was my first Spirit flight because, you know, you don't get to pick your seats. But we flew round trip for $50 each to Chicago. But I'll never forget. So we were in the second to last row on the right-hand side of the plane. All the way in the back, there was only one row behind us and then the bathrooms. And the very last person to board the flight was this woman who looked like Eileen, what's-her-face, the real-life monster that Charlize Theron played.
Yeah.
She was super trailer fabulous, like bad roots. And she's just screaming the whole time about how she had a boot on her foot, like one of the little metal boots or like the Velcro boots that you take off and on. And TSA wouldn't let her take it through the metal detector. So she had to go hide it out in a bush. And she was waiting for her son, Johnny Ray, to come pick it up from the bush. And she was screaming at the Spirit flight attendants like it was their fault TSA wouldn't let her take it. They have nothing to do with TSA. They're just there to make sure that everything goes right on the plane. They don't give a crap about what happens before you get on that plane. That's not their responsibility, not their job. Anyway, so she's screaming the whole time. And when you said sitting in the back of the plane, it reminded me of this because she sat all the way in the back row on the left-hand side of the plane. So she's a row behind us on the other side. And she is screaming that if the plane snaps in half, as they often do, the people in the back are the first to die because they're the back lands first. And I was just like mortified. So they started moving everyone around her away. Like, sir, would you like to move to a different seat? Sir, except for us. We got stuck there. So the whole flight, for the most part, she's screaming until she finally knocks out. Well, you know, on Spirit, the flight attendants don't really do anything because they charge an arm and a leg for everything. I mean, if you want a breath mint, it's like $32.75. And so they just plop their little selves down and just chill the whole flight because nobody's paying that much for a breath mint. And they don't do complimentary drinks or none of that. I mean, if you want to breathe normal air, you got to pay an extra $5 fee.
Pretty much.
So we were in the second to last row and all the flight attendants ended up sitting behind us and they were cursing like sailors. I could not believe it. They were like, girl, I got so shit-faced last night. F this and F that. And ooh, girl, I hadn't got laid in 3 days, but last night I finally got my black blown out. And I was just like, holy crap. This is the Spirit experience.
I mean, I feel like you only fly Spirit if you just don't genuinely care.
True.
You're like, I want the cheapest method. I do not care about anything.
Well, it was last minute, and it was Ogden's birthday, and he said he really wanted to go to Chicago. So I was, you know what? For your birthday, I will get us tickets to Chicago. Because it was last minute, every other airline was, double the price. But not all Spirit, girl. $50 each, round trip.
Wow.
That's also the same time I was leaving, because I always fly to Love Field, because I hate DFW Airport.
Yeah.
And Love Field is always like right there. It's like a $7 Uber as opposed to like a $40 Uber. But we were flying Spirit, so we had a flight of DFW. We get there, every third person in the line got pulled aside and TSA wiped down all of our devices with this little cloth. They wiped down our shoes. They wiped down our hands. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? I don't remember who told me. I honestly don't think TSA ever gave me an answer, but I think someone else that was like there said they were testing for drugs and bomb making materials. Mm-hmm. So thankfully I passed both of those things.
Very much, thankfully. I always get pulled out of line. Like always. Always. They always swab my hands. They check my bags. Like I am, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm that person,
Mhm.
but I swear every flight, it was one of the last flights I had where they were like, oh, we need to swab your hands. Well, I am somebody who has sweaty hands.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I look guilty. My hands, it's just natural. It's not something like I can help or I can
Palms
stop,
are
but
sweaty. Mom's spaghetti.
exactly. And so it makes me look more like I'm guilty of something because there's literal sweat dripping off my fingertips as they're trying to swab me. And I'm like, oh no, they're going to think I'm nervous. And that's why,
Mhm.
well, I'm nervous because you're swabbing my hand anyway. But because I'm thinking of all the door handles I touched, the little bucket to put my stuff in, because they don't swab your hands until you have nothing with you. And so I've touched all these things. I'm pre-COVID, so we didn't have like hand sanitizer everywhere. Yeah, I was very nervous. It was okay. It came back fine. Thank goodness. But
Yeah. Pam's not in jail, guys.
no, I was okay. I was okay. You know, the most dramatic airplane story I have is from when I was a little girl.
Hmm.
I want to say I was probably 8 years old. My mom and I were going to visit my grandma in Ohio. We were wearing matching dresses, little plaid matching dresses. It was very cute. It was a
Hashtag
moment.
the 80s.
It was. I remember this so well. There was maybe 4 or 5 rows in front of us. This is a little trigger warning-ish, I guess. There was a woman with a small child. I want to say maybe 4 years old. Every time the child cried, she had a ruler she took out and smacked her kid with.
Oh.
Right? This is the 80s, guys, okay? 80s. But
Yes, the majority of the people probably didn't even bat an eye.
most people did. But what happens when you smack a child with a ruler?
They cry
They
more.
They scream more. So this kid is just repeatedly screaming bloody murder. And every time child screams more, whack, screams more, whack. I mean, the whole plane is listening to this happening. And this pop and then scream. Pop
And this
and
is before they had like crazy noise cancellation headphones, by the way,
Oh.
y'all.
For real.
It was some little foam things that went over your ear that barely, I mean, it blocked out no outside noise. I mean, you were lucky even to hear the music you were playing.
The flight attendants don't get involved at this point because not my business, not my problem.
Yeah.
And it took until we had just gotten in the air and a woman 2 rows behind her stood up and she was like, we are done. You need to put that away. This is not your house. We are not here for this. And you are making this problem worse. Every time you hit her, more and more and more happens. And the entire plane stood up and cheered and clapped. And it was one of the first times I saw someone really stand up to someone who was, I'm going to quote unquote call her a Karen in a way. It was kind of magical. Like she knew she had nothing, she couldn't fight back on this. So she had to stop. And guess what happens? Her kid stops because you're not beating her every 3 minutes with a ruler.
Yep.
I also drank too much orange juice on that flight and threw up everywhere. So that
On
was
the
a
flight?
whole other thing. Yes, I did.
Oh my
I did.
God.
That's
I've
probably
thrown
why I
up in a
hate
plane
flying.
once, but it was in the bathroom. And it was while it was sitting on the toilet.
Oh.
It was like a chain reaction.
no.
Threw up all over the little
No.
door to the bathroom. So then I had to clean that up, before I left. Anyway,
Oh my God.
hangovers are real, y'all. Hangovers are real.
I was a little
Drink
kid,
you some
so it's
Gatorade.
excusable. Like nobody looks at a 10-year-old throwing up everywhere, and they're gonna look up at you, sir.
Oh, and I'm sure they heard it. I'm sure the flight attendants right outside heard them. Anyway, so this is not that kind of show, although I'm going to have some poop stories coming up.
No.
Okay, so one of my secrets on Southwest is I always end up in the first 1 to 5 rows, usually 1 or 2. I prefer 2 because 1, you can't have your bag underneath your
Right.
seat. Or
I'll take
underneath
the
the seat in
first
front of
row.
you because there is no seat in front of you. However, you do have all the leg room, but you have to keep getting up and getting your bag from the overhead compartment. Anyway, so I always try to get as close to the front as possible because I get weird anxiety once the plane lands. Like I start to freak out if we don't get off soon. I always sit as close as possible. But my trick is I always take these headphones off or whatever over the ear headphones I have, and I put them here so that they push all
Around
of this
your neck.
fat up, and I look fat, and then I put my arms out as wide as they go, and I make my legs as wide as they go, and I even lift up the little thing in between the 2 seats so it looks like I'm spilling over into the middle seat, and I just sit there and look as fat and as mean as possible. And now because of COVID, I even add a little cough in there
Oh my gosh.
so that nobody wants to sit next to me, and almost every time it works. Except for now, because of COVID, they overbook everything. So it's almost impossible to get a flight that's not full. So my last 2 flights, literally, I had the seat next to me completely open until the very last person got on the plane and there was nowhere else for them to go but me. I was like literally the last resort. And both times it's been like a 6'5", like 400-pound man who ended up using as my belly as an armrest.
Aww.
Yeah, so that's my secret on Southwest, because there's no reserved seats. So you just look as mean and as ugly as possible.
I do have a story, though, when I sat next to a very large gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
My husband had pulled...
I didn't know we'd flown together.
You would have been just as nice, I'm sure of this. My husband had pulled out his back. I was out of town at a conference. It was one of those things where he pulled out his back real bad, like couldn't get up. And we had a very small child at that time. So I had to spend most of my night trying to figure out how to get back to Houston as quickly as humanly possible. $800 later, a day earlier of a flight, no refund on my original tickets either. Then I get on a flight I have to leave for at 4:30 in the morning. So I've had 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of sleep. I slept sitting up so that I wouldn't miss my alarms to get to the airport. When we get on the plane, I pick an exit row so that I only am going to have one person next to me, because I know I'm going to knock out as soon as we're in the air. I'm out of there. This man.
What city were you coming from?
Nashville.
Okay.
I was in Nashville. So it was like a 3-4 hour flight, somewhere in there. And this man was large, very large. He was a businessman. He had a suit on. He sits down. He was very kind, very nice. And I explained to him what was going on. I was like, dude, I haven't slept. I'm really going to fall asleep. Like I'm usually chatty. And I was like, so we're not going to talk. Just wanted to like give you the like niceness. He said, baby girl, you can put your head on my shoulder and sleep. And don't worry about it. We're all good. And I was like, okay, wake me up if I snore or drool on you. And I'm positive I did both. I'm positive I was snoring and drooling on him. But he did not care. He only woke me up when we were landing. He let me sleep from takeoff to end. It was so nice.
I had a really scary moment sleeping on a plane once, and my body just will not let me. Like I could literally be like 10 days without sleeping, and I get on a plane and I'm like wide awake. My eyes are wide open, and I try to fall asleep and I just can't. It was my very first trip to Vegas. Amber and I had flown out there, and we were on the same flight together back home, and we were hungover. You know, you've been in Vegas for several many days. We probably didn't get a lot of sleep. So we get on the plane. Oh my God, I'm talking about sleeping. Yeah, I'm yawning.
Vegas flights are actually the worst, though. Everyone is excited there and hates coming home.
Yeah. We're on the flight home, and I just completely doze off. I am out. I'm probably snoring. I'm out. And I didn't wake up until the wheels touched down on the ground. So imagine going from dead asleep to and so I immediately think we're wrecking and I'm dying. And because I wasn't awake to relieve the pressure in my ears, I also couldn't hear anything. Everything was muffled. And so I'm like full on screaming, and everyone on the plane is like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? I mean, but imagine you were dead asleep and the next thing you know, the entire plane is shaking. And you know that noise it makes whenever the little wings pop up to slow it down? It's like and so I thought I was going to die. And so now my body has major PTSD and I cannot sleep on a plane.
I remember when this happened. I'm like, normally the flight attendants wake you up. Like they give you a little pat and they're like, hey, we're landing soon. Just want to let you. Poor Larry. You give him a panic attack. He's traumatized.
Yes. So have you ever been to New Orleans?
I have never been to New Orleans.
You've got to go. I mean, the first 12 hours in there, I'm always like on shank alert because I know I'm going to get shanked and robbed. But after that first buzz catches in, you know, you don't care anymore. Just shank away, buddy. But so I've been in New Orleans a handful of times, probably right around 5. They used to have this really old janky airport, and I didn't know it was this section of my very first trip to New Orleans, and it was in Easter 2019. We get to the airport and I had just gotten TSA pre-check. I was so excited. Like it was like one of my first trips, like coming home with TSA pre-check. We had a 9:00 flight. So we got to the airport at 7.
Okay.
There is no TSA pre-check. It's closed. There's just one line and it's like an hour long. So by the time we get through TSA, actually, I had bought some hot sauce in New Orleans because they have little hot, like literally on every, like when you're in the French Quarter and stuff, like every like 3 doors is like another hot sauce company selling hot sauces.
Really?
Yes, and like unique flavors. You get to sample them before you buy them. You have to sign a waiver for some of them because they're so spicy. Anyway, so I Ogden did that last time and was like sick for 12 hours. But from the hot sauce, yeah. So anyway, so I had bought this hot sauce that tasted amazing. I didn't even think that it was over 3 ounces because it was like in a little hot sauce bottle, like a regular hot sauce size bottle. It wasn't like a giant, like, like Sam's bottle. So we get to the TSA and they confiscate my sauce and I am like livid and I was full on Karening. I was like, oh, thank God for the TSA saving Dallas from salsa. Woo, TSA. Yeah. I mean, it's a miracle I didn't get arrested because I was full on Karen at that moment. So then by the time we get through all of that, it's 8 o'clock. Well, I did not know this, but the New Orleans airport is this big. It's a little shoebox. And they have a bunch of like hot dog vendors like in the hallways, but they were all closed because everything closes at 8. Then they had a sign that says food court with an arrow, and it was pointing to one table with one chair. And that restaurant was closing. Like the doors were already like only this far open. And then I found one restaurant that was open, but they were like closing. Mm-hmm. And she would only take my order if I would give her cash, which I knew what that meant. Like she was just being shady. She didn't want to ring up the food. And so I said, hell no, I ain't doing that. So then we stormed out and then I decided to make a video. So I have the video
my gosh,
here. And I will say I was already upset because of TSA and I was already upset because the lady wanted to take cash from me and this, that, and the other. So I very much am a Karen in this video. I'm just going to self-admit that right now.
Okay.
And it's short and sweet. Here we go. We got a food court, literally one table, and they're closing. New Orleans airport is officially garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we ended up having to get our food from a vending machine.
That looks very much like a sad hospital. Like the hallway,
very much
everything
that.
looks like a sad hospital.
So that was my first time in New Orleans, but everyone kept saying they're building a new airport. They're building a new airport. Like you got to come back. You got to come back. A few months later, we went back for Mardi Gras.
Okay.
And we flew in from Mardi Gras, had a great time. Our flight wasn't until 9 or 10 or 11 at night. And our friend Max and Josh, their flight was at like 10 in the morning. We decided, or around noon actually, and we decided we were going to all, just to save money, we were going to Uber there together. But once the Uber showed up, we realized us and our luggage ain't going to fit even in an Uber XL. So we had to take separate Ubers. So Ogden and I rode in one Uber with our luggage and Max and Josh rode in another. Josh is a flight attendant. He knows all the rules. He knows everything about flying because that's what he does for a living. We get to the airport separately. The whole reason for this was to split Uber so we didn't have to spend as much money. Well, we still split the same amount because we ended up having to take 2 Ubers. So we all 4 get to the airport. They go in front of us. They're getting through TSA, and then it's our turn. I did not know this, and our friend did and neglected to tell us, you're not allowed past security more than 4 hours before your flight. And we were there 8 hours early. And the only reason we agreed to get there 8 hours early is because we were like, it's a new airport. I want to try all the new restaurants and like shops. Like we were like literally just going to go hang out in the airport for 8 hours. Right. And so they turned us away. Not only did we waste the money Ubering there, then we had to figure out what the hell we were going to do for 8 hours. So we sat in the lobby for a while, and the new airport, there's nothing on this side of TSA. You can't even buy a soda. You can't buy a bag of chips. There's literally nothing on this side of TSA.
Wow.
So we sat in the lobby for a good 30, 45 minutes. I got on Uber Eats, seeing if somebody could deliver his food to the airport. That's not a thing. So finally, I was like, let's just Uber to a restaurant. We can just hang out there. So we Ubered to this little Mexican restaurant about 3 miles away from the airport, sit down, order food. And then Ogden, I don't remember if he had heard about it or if he was just Googling at that time, but he found out that you can rent nice hotels by the hour. And there was a Hilton. It's like a third-party website. And the hotel, if they have unsold rooms, like why not make a little bit extra money? There was a Hilton right across the street, and Ogden got on the website, and I think we paid $50 for 3 hours. So after we finished our Mexican food, we walked across this giant 6-lane road, like trying not to get a hit, like Frogger, with our luggage. And we checked into the hotel, and literally we were so dead tired because we had been in New Orleans for 5 days.
And
so
y'all,
we walked.
I'm going to interrupt here because I don't know this story, but I am going to say, y'all don't know when Larry is upset at something, it is very obvious Larry is upset. So I can imagine your grumpy face and your bag behind you, and you are just puffing around because you are not happy to be there.
Oh, I'm still bitter with my friend to this day because, like, he could have been like, "Hey, bro, you know you can't come in 4 hours before the flight. Why did he allow us to go 8 hours before?" Anyway, so we get to the room. I take 3 steps in the door and just fall face first on one bed because it was 2 beds. Ogden fell face first on the other bed, and we just died for 3 hours. Then we got up. Then we Ubered back to the airport, hung out for 2 or 3 more hours until our flight came. And then the next time we went to New Orleans, I knew what was going on, and our checkout was at 11 a.m., but our flight wasn't until 10 p.m. So I spent money and booked a hotel for that last day, even though I knew we weren't staying overnight, but just so that we didn't have to walk around for hours and hours, and we could get a little rest. So we go to check into the hotel, and then that's when the front desk lets us know that if we plan on leaving, we have to leave by 4 because the roads all get shut down for Mardi Gras.
Oh.
And so I had paid for this hotel to get like 6 hours of sleep, only to find out that I was only going to be able to get like 2 hours of sleep because we had to get the hell out of there. So we
Right.
still ended up back up at the airport, but thankfully it was 4 hours before our flight and we were able to enjoy the new airport
Right.
in New
How's the
Orleans.
airport? We
It's
gave them a bad review.
it's-
How's the new one?
It's nice. However, it's post-COVID, so they have no staff. So everything's a QR code. Every restaurant you go into, you scan a QR code, you order your own food, you order your own drink. Some random person brings it out to you. Nobody comes back to check on you after that. I mean, it's all QR codes. There's no staff, which I don't actually mind because I hate talking to people.
I feel
Like
that.
I hate when you go to the liquor store and they're like, "Hi, how you doing?" You know, you have to say, "Good, how are you?" And then like, "Oh, my dad's been sleeping on my couch for a month and he hasn't paid the electricity bill." And I'm like, "Girl, give me my plastic bottle of vodka and let me go home."
Totally on the liquor store thing though. We went to the liquor store the other day and the guy went on like a speech about how he was so thankful we supported his small business. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna go now, okay? Okay.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
We don't even live over we were over on the other side of town, so it wasn't anywhere
Mhm.
we'd ever been before and we'll never be back.
hmm
But he's just telling me his whole life and how he's so happy we supported a small business and blah blah blah.
Have you ever been on a flight where someone's been kicked off?
I have not. Have you?
Once. So this is like a
Ooh.
dual story. So it was me, Amber, Doma, her boyfriend at the time, and Amber's boyfriend at the time.
Ooh, this was
And
a
we
while ago then.
2008, 9,
Okay.
and we flew Southwest from Dallas to Vegas, but we had a like 3-hour layover in Phoenix. It's the same people. We just had to get off and switch planes. I remember this girl because she was kind of dressed very escandalo, but nobody
Okay.
said anything to her in Dallas. Everything was fine. So we get to Phoenix, we all get off the plane, and then we hang out for a few hours, and it's time to get on the new plane. And they stop her at the gate, and they're like, we think your outfit's a little too skimpy. And she's like, look, I've already flown with wearing the same thing from Dallas. So I think they decided to let her on the plane. I don't remember the circumstances behind it all. But after everybody was boarded, two like TSA officers or whoever come back in and they literally pull her off the plane and like cause a big scene because they said her shorts were too short and her crop top was showing too much midriff.
No.
And yes, so I guess she wasn't technically kicked off the plane because it delayed us from taking off. They ended up letting her back on, but she had to run to like a gift shop and buy like sweatpants and like a t-shirt in order to get back on the plane. So lame.
Why not just give her a blanket and be like,
Yeah.
hey, here's one of the free blankets. Can you just put it over your lap until, like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, you just put it over your seatbelt area or whatever. But still, it shouldn't matter what the hell you're wearing.
Exactly.
This was actually on the news or on ET. I always watch Entertainment Tonight because I'm ancient.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
And it was on, and it was talking about how people are dressing more comfortably to go to the airport.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, we're also doing that because of your crazy TSA rules. And I know many of them are there for our protection. However, underwire bras set off the metal detector every single
Mhm.
time. I get felt up every time I go. A bobby pin in the hair. They're all in my hair looking for a bobby pin to make
Taking
sure
off your shoes.
Right. So to make sure you don't have any metal on you, you're going to wear a sports bra, a t-shirt, and some joggers. That's what
Mhm.
90% of people wear now. So that you're not pulled out of line every single time like me.
Thankfully, I'm pre-checked now, so I don't ever have any issues. I don't have to take off my belt. I don't have to take off my shoes. I don't have to take anything out of my bag. I just throw my bag on the scanner, walk through the metal detector, good to go. Never have an issue.
That is nice. That's
Yeah.
very nice. But it
That
costs money,
same,
doesn't it? And it was
it's like $50 every 5 years, I think.
oh, that's not bad.
It's definitely affordable. And I wanted to do global entry because it's the same thing when you're coming home from another country. But I went to a hub and they don't do that at the hub. You have to go to an actual airport and speak to do that through TSA. So I only have pre-check. I'm not global entry. But the same flight that the woman got taken off the plane and brought back on, our returning flight home, we had the same layover in Phoenix. And me and Amber's boyfriend and Doma's boyfriend decided we wanted to smoke a cigarette. I think this was after airports had already banned like the little smoking rooms for the most part. I think some still have it, but most airports used to have a room where you could just walk in and like smoke a cigarette, which is absolutely disgusting because you smell, then you're getting on the plane and you stink because you're just in a box with other cigarette smokers. So like, it's just awful. Even as a cigarette smoker, I thought that was disgusting. But
Vegas
anyway,
is
so
the
we were
worst.
we were in the Arizona airport. I think it's Sky Harbor Airport. And we decided we were going to go take a smoke break. So we asked where we go. And so they sent us, go down this way and you go out these doors and you can smoke. Well, we did all that. And when we were coming back in, we're not finding a way back to the gate. And that's when we realized that we had gone out. Like there was no way back in without going through TSA check. And our boarding passes, everything are inside the airport with our friends.
Oh no.
This is when cell phones were still not as great as they are now. So I think we're texting and messages aren't being delivered or whatnot. So I remember their escalator there to get back to where we were. It was coming down the opposite direction, obviously, because it was for exit only. But I decided I was going to run up it. And so I'm running, and it's double.
Felony.
It's probably like
right now.
it's probably like three. It's probably like 3 links of stairs, but one long escalator. And so I'm running and I'm running and I'm running. And about 3/4 the way up, my legs give out and I fall down. And my shorts, my shorts got trapped in the escalator and ripped off the bottom right part of my leg. So my whole right thigh is being exposed. And then I hear someone yell from across the airport, "That's why we don't do that." And so I get up and I take all my energy and I just push through and I run and I make it up the stairs. No one says anything. I go sit back down with my friends, all disheveled with my shorts all ripped up and my leg hanging out. And they're like, "What happened?" I was like, "We don't talk about it." And then I don't even remember how the other 2 guys ended up getting back up there because they didn't come the same way as me. They had to find another way up. I don't know if they ended up having to get through TSA. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever vaped on an airplane? You're not supposed to.
No, I've never done anything like that on an airplane. How about you?
Always. That's why I'm always pulled out of line. I just admitted why I'm pulled out. No. Yeah, my partner does too. He'll go in the bathroom and flush it. This is so bad. You shouldn't do this. Don't do this, kids. Do not vape on airplanes or in airport bathrooms.
Well, they claim they have the
anywhere.
detector that can like pick it up.
I don't believe it. Well, if
The
you're
scent.
flushing yeah. But a vape is, I guess it's kind of different. I don't know.
Mhm.
They've come a long way. It's been a minute. I don't think I've flown since the pandemic. I have not.
I was just about to ask you, with the mask mandates and all that, have you had to deal with any of that?
No, but I'm so grateful for this because for the rest of my life, I will wear a mask on an airplane because I always
Same.
get sick. I always
Mhm.
am the sick one. When I get to where I'm going, I get sick a day or 2 later.
Mm-hmm. Same. Or when I get home, I'm always sick.
Yes.
So I flew for Amber's wedding. It was my first flight after COVID. So I was super scared, super nervous.
Yes.
And we get there, or it's one of those things. Ogden usually sits on the aisle and I sit in the window. We both look fat and mean. Nobody sits next to us. We have the whole row to ourselves. Well, it backfired on us because literally sold out flight. Everyone was on there. And the last person to get on was a very portly man. And he had a mask on originally. Once we got in the air and the flight attendants weren't walking around and checking, he pulled his mask up over his eyes and used it as a sleep mask and just passed out for the majority of the flight, except for when he kept getting up and going to the bathroom and drinking his little shots of alcohol, because he would go to the bathroom and come back and he would just reek of rubbing alcohol, which I know to be vodka. And so he was just going to the bathroom and just shooting little shots of vodka and coming back and then putting his mask back over his eyes and going to sleep.
How do you know
I've got
you
a
were down to
picture
party?
of that. I'm going to put the
You
picture
were
up right
down
here.
to vodka party in that aisle. If
was.
he just would have said, "Hey man, you want to drink vodka with me?" You'd been like, "Hell yeah, I do."
Or if he would have covered his mouth, like I was terrified at that
Yeah.
time.
It was scary. I remember how scary that was.
Well, going to Mexico during COVID is crazy because you can tell who the dumb Americans are, North Americans are, and then, who everyone else is. You're walking through the airport and they have mask mandates and all the, people from the United States of America don't care. They aren't wearing their masks.
No.
Meanwhile, everyone from every other country is doing it the right way. It's just mind-boggling to me how entitled and stupid we are.
I was just in Mexico on a cruise. Although we did not fly there, I will say it was still very similar. People who were working, leading different tourist things or whatever, were all typically wearing masks, even outdoors. Some of them not all the time, but especially when they were talking close to you, they would put one on. But none of the Americans did.
Mm-hmm.
And we got COVID. So, we already did that story, but yes.
Yeah. So I have a couple of Mexico stories now that we're
I can't
on
wait.
to Mexico. So my first time to go to Mexico, I had no idea what to expect. It was my first time using a passport. Super excited, but also very nervous. And we get to the air. Actually, we're in the plane and we flew Aeromexico, I believe. And so we're in the plane and they give you glass bottles of soda. It was the real sugar Pepsi, made in Mexico. And I don't know if that's what it was, but I drank half that real sugar Pepsi and my stomach said, "Girl, We got an
No.
emergency. Code
so
brown,
good.
code brown, code brown. And so I'm sweating like pellets of sweat. And I'm like shaking my leg. And I'm like, no, you've never had to go on a plane before. Today's not going to be the first time. Don't do it. Don't do it. I took a little chewable Pepto. I said, dear Lord Jesus, make this Pepto work instantly. It did not. So finally, we're about 30 minutes from landing. And Ogden's like, just go to the bathroom. And I was like, shut up. Don't tell me what to do. Because at that point, the devil had already taken over my body. And so finally, I run to the bathroom. I open the door, get in, close it, and I immediately, like, it smelled. And the bathroom was actually spacious. I've never been in an airplane bathroom that was that spacious. But the floor was covered in, like, a brown sludge. I don't even want to speculate what it may or may not have been, but it smelled. And my body was like, girl, it doesn't matter because you about to, add to it if you don't hurry. And so I go to pull my shorts down and I was like, wait, my shorts are going to touch the floor. Like, how am I going to balance holding my shorts up? So at that point, my body said, girl, okay, let's calm down for a minute. We're going to hold it on. Hold it up.
Yeah.
So I go back to the seat. He's like, you feel better? And I was like, I do not. Because, again, Satan is in my body at this point. So we land in Mexico City's airport, which is one of like the biggest airports and one of the biggest cities in the world.
Right.
Well, it's a great giant airport, but they don't have that many terminals. So you land and the plane just kind of pulls off to the grass and then you have to wait for a bus to come pick you up because you don't just pull up to the airport. I am dying. I mean, at this point, I've already signed my will. Like, I'm going to die. This is it. I'm about to go in front of all these people. So the bus finally shows up, picks us up, pulls us, drives us up to the airport. We go in. At that moment, I look, and the line to get for U.S. citizens to get through is about 20 minutes. But I had to get to the bathroom. So I run to the bathroom, and Lord Jesus, I barely made it. I barely made it, but I made it.
Thank goodness.
And then I finished and realized they don't have soap or paper towels.
No.
And I am OCD about washing my hands after going number 2. Okay. So it was like to my core bothering me. I was like, surely we'll find some soap on somewhere in the airport. It's just not a thing. Not a thing. Not a thing. An antibacterial soap? What? What's that? Anyway, so I finally go to get in the line. And at that point, so many buses had dropped off people. It was now a 2-hour wait to get through. So I had to wait in the line for 2 hours, all because my stomach couldn't hold it. So that same trip, we're back at the airport to leave. We're walking. I think I've got my luggage. We had to recheck in for. I don't know. It was something weird happened. Like we had to change the flight. Anyway, we're standing in line to like check our bags again, and there she goes, Miss Stomach. I think it's because I had been taking Pepto chewables the entire trip to keep me from having to go to the restroom while I was there, because that's a whole other bleak situation. You can't flush toilet paper, yada yada yada. Right. And so I think finally my body was like, "Girl, like we've been holding this in for a couple days now." Right. Anyway, I'm so sorry that we're talking about poop. This is not really, but it's airport related. So finally, I start running. I give Ogden my bag. I'm like, I'll figure it out. I have got to go. And I'm like white as a ghost at this point. And I'm running through the airport and I'm going this way, no airport. So I turn around, run this way, no bathroom. Finally, I find an employee and I'm like, baño, por favor. And so they point me towards the direction of the bathroom. So I run. I get there and there's a line. So I'm waiting in the line, bouncing up and down. I'm like praying to everything out there. And next thing I know, the stall opens up and I'm next in line. So I run into the stall and I lock it and I turn and look and it looks like somebody had taken a sledgehammer to the toilet. It was just a hole, a porcelain hole sticking up out of the ground that was all jagged and sharp. Like you can't sit on it because it's not like, yeah. And so Lord Jesus, I had to just drop my pants and squat and just let it go down this porcelain jagged destruction.
All the ladies know the squat, like every club restaurant.
And I do not, okay? And I am heavy set and out of shape. I don't do leg day. So I was like shaking at one point because my muscles were like, what is this? And I'm sweating and my glasses are about to fall off onto the floor and my whole body. It was just probably one of the most traumatic pooping stories of my life. So then I finish my business. I go to wash my hands. And again, there's no soap. So I'm just rinsing them with water and saying a prayer.
I'm very concerned that there's no soap in this airport.
Like anywhere.
Like
anywhere.
What is everyone else doing?
It's not just the airport. It's not the airport. It's everywhere. The hotels don't even have like soap for your hands. Like it comes to like complimentary shampoo. Great. Shampoo isn't going to clean off fecal bacteria from my hands. So I now bring my own antibacterial soap when I travel abroad. Now I bring my own wipes, my own antibacterial hand soap, and I bring my own shower wipes too, because sometimes the shower situation's a little bit bleak as well.
Youngins don't understand that, y'all. You know you've hit adultness, like peak middle-aged adultness, when you buy your own wipes and bring them with you whenever you travel.
I didn't even know because I bought them on Amazon and they were so cheap. But I bought like the display stand that like goes at the grocery store. It's got the individual boxes and they stack up and it's like a 48 pack of wipes.
Oh wow!
So I've got like a full-on grocery store display in my apartment of wipes.
Well, if you run out, Target sells a 10-pack for like $1.29. So just go there and get the little 10-pack, and it's a lot easier.
And then also Pepto is my friend on trips, especially when you're eating food from another country. You know, so I eat it before I chew the Pepto before I eat, and I call it Prepto.
Yeah, I think it's the anxiety. Like when you go somewhere, even a hotel or travel, it's like everything just kind of shuts down for a few days. And then it's like when you're on your way home, the anxiety has left. You're not worried anymore. Tsunami is coming.
Tsunami! You guys, I'm sorry we talked about bodily functions. Right. Now, Pam, have you ever flown first class?
Yes, I love first class.
So I have one time, and I didn't know anything about first class except for I knew that I could never afford it, so it was never an option. Well, my friend was a flight attendant for Delta, and every year for Christmas, he would put me on, standby lists, and I would come up for Christmas, and I would help them throw a Christmas party, and that was kind of my way of paying for my ticket, was like, helping them throw the party and clean up after and things like that. But every year I got a free ticket or free trip to Atlanta for Christmas. Nice. Atlanta's trash, by the way. No offense to anyone who lives there. Not a fan. 1 star. Does not recommend. But so when you're on standby, you just get the best available seat. And so for me, it was usually, about halfway through the plane. Whatever, it's free. I don't care. Right. Well, there was one trip in particular. I remember I was like A2. And I didn't even know what that meant. So I go to get on the plane and I go right past first class. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, where's A2? And the lady's like, oh, no, turn around. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I'm so confused. So then they set me down. I was in the front row of the plane, had the whole aisle to myself in first class. So they come by with hot breakfast. Like I'm talking bacon and because it was an early morning flight, like 6 a.m. Bacon and everything. And they're like, would you like a beverage? And I was like, oh no. Cause I'm thinking in my head, I can't afford that. And this is also probably like my 5th time ever to fly it ever. So it's not like I was like, experienced. So I was like, oh no, I ain't paying for that. I ain't got that kind of money. So we land and I get out of the car. And this is before you could text in the plane too. So I get out of I go to meet my friends in the parking lot. They're picking me up. And I was like, I got to fly first class. They're like, oh, bitch, how many drinks did you have? We know you're drunk. And I was like, you know me. I'm not paying for it. They were like, you were in first class. It's free.
It's free. Everything's free. Whatever you want.
I had no idea. No. I didn't order anything. And that was my only time first class. Even on the flight home, I was back in economy.
You could have had 8 breakfasts if you wanted. Like they would have just kept bringing you delicious food the entire time. I'm so sad.
Yeah, me too.
We flew first class to Jamaica on our honeymoon.
Wow.
I was like, hell yeah, because it was one of the longest flights I've been on. We went from IAH, which is like our DFW here, to there. So it was a nice long flight. We drank the whole way. It was the day after our wedding, so we were already still hungover. So you got to just, drink it up. It was great. It was we had our little hot towels on our face and our blankies and our headphones. It was wonderful. I love a first class flight.
Yeah, that was probably the only time I'll ever be in first class. Because now, I'm pretty much exclusively with Southwest and there is no first class. First class is not getting punched while you're there.
I mean, I hate to say this and go with it, but I'm normally a Southwest person, but every time I fly with them now, it's become more and more of a headache every time. And I think that's universal right now.
All airlines are dealing with staffing issues, etc.
But I don't know how much longer I can hang with Southwest. It's getting kind of rough in there. I'm getting closer to my neighbors. Everything's getting smaller, and it's just not as fun anymore.
I know, and it's for good reason that they did away with it, but I miss the honey roasted peanuts that Southwest had. Now they give you either little Ritz crackers or little pretzels. Nobody wants the pretzels. Even though they're cute shapes like airplanes, nobody wants that.
No, nobody does. Yeah, the last time I was on Southwest, I was coming home from Vegas, I believe, and I was solo. It was a girls' trip thing I went to. On the way back in Houston, a little prop plane, like a personal jet, had broke down on the runway. So we had to move to Austin, and we sat for 2 hours. And that flight back from Vegas is rough for everyone on the plane. And we are just, me and this young guy next to me were like, we hate everybody. We just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But they did end up emailing. We didn't even have to complain. They were like, here, have some money. We're so sorry.
You know, the good thing I'll say about Southwest, I think 9 out of 10 times that I've tweeted them about a delay or about a booking problem, they always tweet me back right away and ask for the itinerary number, and I give it to them, and every single time they put a $200 flight credit or a $50 flight credit or a $100 flight credit. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a flight credit from Southwest just for tweeting.
It's them 2 bags fly free too. No one else gives you 2 free bags. And I am an overpacker, and I use every bit of those 2 bags at 50 pounds.
Like, I seriously try my hardest not to check bags so that you can just get off the plane and go. No. But if I'm going to be there for more than 2 days, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to bring 2 giant bags that barely meet the maximum requirement to fit on that plane, because I'm bringing a whole closet with me. If I'm there for more than 2 days, I have to have options. Ogden just went to New Orleans last weekend and literally brought a backpack. And he was complaining to me when we got back that he didn't realize, so he got there, that he had like 3 shirts and 2 bottoms. Just like, to swap in and out. Not me. No. Nope. I need at least 2 shirts for every day that I'm there. If I'm there for 3 days, I need 5 pairs of underwear, 5 pairs of socks. You know, I just gotta have it. Sunscreen, moisturizer, toothpaste.
There's a joke of how many pairs of underwear girls bring with them, and it's just in case, you know, we accidentally pee ourselves or something, which has never happened, but we bring 22 pairs for
well, and it's funny because it's funny because Ogden relies on me for a lot of that stuff too. Like, we'll get to where we're going, and he's like, can I see the toothpaste? Can I see the shampoo? And so this last trip we took was just a little trip to film the movie. And I didn't bring anything. So I was like, I'll just use what the hotel has. Like, no biggie. And he was like shook because he was like, well, where's the body wash at? And I'm like, whatever's in the shower. Like, I don't know. Where's your toothpaste? I'm like, whatever they got on the counter. I didn't pack none of that this time. I just brought 1 duffel bag and that was it.
Yikes. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it was quick though.
He says he brought 100 or 1,000 jock straps though. So,
well, good. At least he was prepared there.
At least he was prepared there. Yeah.
Do you know about any assholes this week?
Just customers.
Well, can I ask you, is this person the asshole?
Am I the asshole?
As always, thanks, Joseph, for singing a beautiful
Love
song.
You, Joseph.
He just released a new song again on Instagram, so make sure you go follow.
Yes.
Juju. So today's question is, am I the asshole for having to cancel picking up my friend from the airport? Hi, all. I'm confused about my friend's, both late 20s, reaction. So I guess I might be the a-hole. I have a friend that was coming back to my city after a long trip. The airport is far from the city, but you can get there by the subway line. Takes about 40 to 50 minutes by metro. And the station is underneath the airport. When they went on this trip, I was the one that actually took them to the airport by metro, so we could talk on the way there. When I heard they were coming back, I told them that I would like to pick them up from the airport so they don't need to travel the 50 minutes back alone, like we did when they were flying out. They said I didn't need to do that. It was fine. And in the end, they said, if you can, great. If not, no problem. Then the day before they were supposed to come in, approximately 24 hours in advance, I had a meeting scheduled and wouldn't be able to pick them up anymore. I texted, explained the situation, and to my surprise, they reacted in a negative way. They said it was not cool to cancel last minute. I agree, it's not. And that I could not do that. I tried to explain that I wouldn't be canceling on them for nothing, and something unforeseen came up. I was also a little bit confused because they had said initially that I didn't have to do it. They said that they brought 2 extra suitcases and now they wouldn't be able to carry all by themselves, and they were looking forward to my help. I apologized again, and I didn't know that they needed my help. I thought they were just there for the company. They said they didn't need to justify why they were upset because I was bailing on them. And now they're not talking to me. I think I behaved poorly, although I didn't know the extenuating circumstances before. Am I the asshole?
I don't think so. I think your friends are assholes. And especially if this is recent, because there's this thing called Uber. Like, pay for an Uber.
Very recent. I think he posted this 8 hours ago.
If the Uber's too expensive, like say you live further away from the airport and the Uber's going to be like $80 or $100, then you should be paying your friend at least $40. Like, whatever half the Uber is how much you should be paying your friend to pick you up. Like, things aren't free, especially gas these days. No. And if you tell them no biggie, like we can figure it out if you can't, and then when they cancel, you like have a meltdown, that's on you, boo. That's on you.
I am not someone who likes to inconvenience anyone else.
Me either.
So if you can,
even my own boyfriend,
you agree to it, cool. If not, I will figure it out. You don't have to agree to it. If you back out last minute, I'm not mad. I'm fine. I will figure this out. I'm not so dependent on someone coming to get me.
Yeah, me either. I'm an independent woman, okay? INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? She got her own Uber. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, there's been many times where Ogden has offered to take me to the airport, and then the morning of, I hear him snoring and sleeping so peacefully and soundly. I'm like, I'm not gonna wake that sleeping baby up. So then I just request me a little old Uber and I get my ass to the airport, honey. It's not hard.
You know, we used to have 2 friends. They used to travel a lot. I don't even know where the hell they were going. I remember they were always going somewhere. And
Somewhere they didn't have no business going.
And for some reason, their flights were always 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Like there was never another time. It was
that's the cheap. That's the cheap tickets.
I guess so. I don't even think they fly at 2 a.m. anymore. But my goodness, and they would. Hey Pam, will you take us to the airport? Will you pick us up? And listen,
you were always saying yes. You were like their little chauffeur, honey.
I was, and we were poor back then. And driving tolls through DFW was expensive
DFW.
Then, and I'm sure it's still expensive now. Plus, you had to take George Bush tollway, so it was tolls there and in the airport. It was a whole thing, guys. I know he's listening too. I'm telling your dirt. I hated taking you to the airport. Maybe not. Maybe he's not listening. But if he is,
I don't think he's listening.
Taking you to the airport.
I mean, I hope he's listening because we enjoy him.
We got to find a way to get him on.
Oh my God, Josh, if you're listening, we need a reunion show.
I didn't call him out by name. Now you did.
Oh.
Okay, it's okay. It's true though. I didn't lie.
I meant Joshua McSpatterstein from Phoenix, Nevada.
Oy vey. Well, I think we've hit our time limit, friend. I think we have officially covered airports.
And it's still a surprise. You guys are not going to know.
What?
But either next week's episode will be the first one we recorded together in person, or it won't.
Ooh.
Tune in next week to find out. Also, don't forget, Live Nation and Larry the Fairy are throwing a drag show at the Echo Lounge and Music Hall. Ticket link in bio. Pick up your tickets, and come party with me.
Please.
And maybe Pam. Find out next week. It's a mystery. Is Pam coming or is she not?
You'll never know.
You'll know next week. So we'll either be sitting here next to each other. Hi, Pam. Hi, Larry. Or we'll be like this.
We love y'all. Thanks for listening.
And we love that.
Bye.
Sweet.
Ooh, 108.
I can probably get down to 1. There was like 3 minutes of talking before we started too.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm going to go lay back in that bed.
All right, Queen. Do that.
We're going to dinner tonight at 8, and then we're going to go see The Barbarian. It's this new scary movie I'm real excited about. That's at 9:50. I'm very excited for that. So in the preview...
I'll tell you something. I can't remember. I forgot. I'll text it when I remember it.
So in the preview, this girl shows up and it's raining and she's got her umbrella and her suitcase. And she goes and she rings the doorbell. Or actually, she goes to get the key out of a little key thing. She's rented an Airbnb and it's gone. There's no key in there. So she rings the doorbell and this guy answers and he's like, can I help you? She's like, I rented this place on Airbnb. He's like, so did I. And she's like, well, what do we do? He's like, well, let's try to get a hold of the owners. So she decides to go in out of the rain to the house. And so they're both trying to contact the owners. They're not having any luck. So he's like, you know what? It's, raining out there. There's not another hotel anywhere nearby. That's obviously why we had to get this Airbnb. How about you just stay here? You can sleep in the bedroom, lock the door, and I'll sleep on the couch. She's like, okay, cool. So she goes in the bedroom. She locks the door. She goes to sleep. And then she wakes up and the camera's like just on her eyes. And she kind of is like, kind of looking. And then you hear running down the hallway, like, and so she turns over and the bedroom door's open.
Oh.
So then she starts to kind of like peek her way through the house and she ends up in the basement because she's white. Why wouldn't you go to the basement? And then she finds a secret doorway. And she opens the secret doorway and she can hear the man screaming from deep, deep underground. So then she decides to go in and look for him instead of calling 911. But anyway,
virgin too.
Yes. So that's Barbarian. And then the trailer ends with a bunch of flashes of like scary shit. And then it's a sunny day and the camera's panning out and it's a beautiful white picket fence neighborhood. So you have no idea what's going on underground.
Can't wait.
Anyway.
It's either going to be great or not. There's
Yeah.
no middle ground on this
I've
one.
I've only heard one person who's watched it, and they just said their only way to describe it was that it was weird.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, all right, darling. I'll talk to you soon. I'm gonna go crawl back up in that bed.
All right, go take a nap.
All right, bye.
Smooches. Bye.
Smoochies.
Thanks for listening to Love That Podcast. Hey, make sure you leave a 5-star Apple review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, and while you're at it, why not share this episode with at least one person you know who needs a good laugh? We'll see you next time.